Weather is fine for now. Hey, good late morning, everybody. 11 a.m. here on a Friday, the 5th of July. Hope you had a great 4th of July. 4th of July is one of those holidays that those of us who work in early morning news don't love very much, especially when the alarm clock goes off at 2 a.m. and, you know, there were still explosions going on outside your window at 11. But, you know, this is the path we have chosen, right? And speaking of paths, we are going to be just, sort of glued to our computer models and our satellites and so forth for this weekend to watch the path of Beryl. And so I want to show you the latest on that. So we do have the latest that has come to us from the National Hurricane Center, and that was released at 10 a.m. this morning. And that is the forecast path of Beryl. Now, the Fox model, which I'll show you the full path of the Fox model coming up here in just a moment, but that one has been really showing this thing moving farther northward. In other words, making a shift a little closer to maybe the Houston area or the Corpus Christi area. This is the latest map that the National Hurricane Center has given us. They have downgraded it to a Category 1 hurricane. I really think it's probably a tropical storm at this point. It's over land. From there, the concern is that it's going to be moving over water. It's going to have about a solid 48 hours to move over water before it moves inland. Now, the latest models have been pointing this thing a little farther to the north. The other part that's very important for everybody to realize about this one is that we don't want to focus on just that middle of the cone. We can't just focus on where those icons are, because this is going to be a storm that has very wide-ranging effects, especially on our side of the storm, which you could call the dirty side or the wet side or the more intense side of the storm. This is the latest run of the GFS computer model taking us through Wednesday, which is showing very heavy rain to the west of Houston, but a few spots here in the greater Houston area that are getting in on probably several inches of rain too. It's going to be sort of the luck of the draw at this point. This is a satellite view that shows us how the winds are blowing around in the upper levels of the atmosphere along with moisture. And the storm, Beryl there, that's sort of on the lower right-hand side of your screen, it's encountering some shear right now, but not a lot. Not anything I think that's going to weaken it very much. There is some dry air ahead of it. What we can hope for is that maybe some of that dry air gets pulled into the circulation and could weaken it a little bit. Right now, it's not, looking super organized. The thing is, it's moving really quickly, so it's not going to stay over land very long, and it'll make its way back over water by late afternoon or this evening. Now, check this out. Here's the latest spaghetti model plots. This is where we take our major models and plot them on a map. The yellow line you see there is called the HWAR for the Hurricane Weather Research Forecasting Model. The white line is the European model. The blue line is the GFS model, and then there's a kind of a darker red line in there that represents what's called the ensemble mean of the GFS. They're all showing a landfall either between Brownsville or Corpus Christi, which puts us on that dirty side of the circulation, the wet side of the circulation. So coming up in about 20 minutes, I'm going to show you what the Fox model has to say about this, because the Fox model has been doing a very, very good job lately. All right, so Hurricane Beryl is hitting Mexico in the Yucatan right now, but the storm has left behind lots of damage elsewhere in the Caribbean. Fox Weather's Robert Ray reports from Jamaica.
I am anxious and a bit scared.
Hurricane Beryl continuing its devastating trek through the Caribbean on Thursday, stirring up gusty winds and dangerous storm surge on the Cayman Islands. Officials say a dozen shelters are open and crews are standing by for a major cleanup.
Clearing major roadways for emergency services and civilians to get through, as well as possible search and rescue efforts.
Beryl now rumbling toward Mexico's Caribbean coast, at times packing winds as high as 125 miles per hour. Forecasters expect the storm to make landfall early Friday south of the popular tourist spot Tulum. People are boarding up homes and businesses and rushing to grocery stores to stock up on supplies, though some tourists say they're not worried.
We'll be staying here because our flight's not due home till Monday. And I think we'll just take advice from the hotel and the reps that are there, but we're not too scared.
The storm is growing weaker after pummeling Jamaica, as well as St. Vincent and the Grenadines this week, leaving multiple people dead. In Barbados, storm surge destroyed boats used by locals for fishing, an industry that provides income for thousands of people on the island.
I never really experienced a system like this yet, at this magnitude, but yeah, I don't think that nobody wants to go through this yet.
Beryl is expected to strengthen once again as it enters the Gulf of Mexico this weekend. In Jamaica, Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
Yeah, he's right. Looks like it could strengthen a little more in the next 24 hours. This is a look at the strong winds and heavy rain as Beryl made landfall in Tulum, or just to the north of Tulum, Mexico, just after 6 a.m. this morning. One of Mexico's governors posted this video. She also issued what's called a red warning, which means maximum danger. Cancun was also battered by high winds and high surf. Most of the cruise ships were able to make it out of the region, moving north into other areas, and in some cases rerouting to the Bahamas, and I don't think they heard too many complaints from their passengers about that. It was a very busy 4th of July down in Galveston, and it may only get busier in the days ahead. The Galveston Island Beach Patrol says during a holiday weekend, the island can see as many as 500,000 people. The chief asked people to celebrate safely as they monitor the potential impacts of Hurricane Beryl.
Just be aware that lifeguard only has so much bandwidth, and so you want to make sure you take care of yourself and take care of your family, use your own safety precautions, and then think of that lifeguard as an extra layer of protection if something goes wrong. We're monitoring Hurricane Beryl, so when Hurricane Beryl clears the Yucatan, we are thinking that we may get a pulse up here, meaning some kind of wave action, possibly higher tides than normal.
Yeah, he's got that right. So if you're headed to the beach, especially on Sunday, you got to really use caution. Think about not getting in the water. You can visit GalvestonIslandBeachPatrol.com for safety information. Find out what flags they are flying. The red flags will probably be up on Saturday. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he's increasing the state's readiness operations in anticipation of Beryl making its impact on Texas in the upcoming days. The Texas Division of Emergency Management is prepared to send additional resources for a potential state of emergency response. The governor is urging Texans to stay informed, make an emergency plan, follow directions from local officials. Now, while we in Houston are not necessarily going to take a direct hit from Hurricane Beryl, we're probably still going to see plenty of rain. And Beryl is also a good reminder that hurricane season is in full swing, and it's likely to be a very busy one. So you need to be prepared. It only takes one storm. Shelby Rose spent some time over at Ace Hardware in Cypress.
Well, if you haven't gotten your house and your home ready, storm prepared, it is time to go ahead and do that now, especially in the next couple days as Hurricane Beryl does approach the Texas coast. I am joined with Nick Richardson. He is the general manager of the Ace Hardware here in Cypress. We got a full spread out for you, exactly what you need to get to be ready, so take us through it.
All right, so first you want to make sure you have plenty of gas cans, so that way if you do have those gasoline-powered generators, you have enough gas to at least get you through a night or day. So grab gas cans, power inverters, charge phones, radios, power any small devices, so that way you can stay up to date on what's happening. If you're like myself, you can never have too many flashlights. Always grab an extra flashlight, because 9 times out of 10 I'll go grab one, the battery's dead, and then I'm looking for batteries. And you also want to stock up on extra batteries. You can never have too many batteries. Everything runs on battery almost these days. So grab extra batteries. And then for generators, extension cords, you want to grab a medium to heavy duty extension cord. So if you're running fans, refrigerators, window units, stuff like that, they're heavier duty enough to where they don't overheat. Cases of water. And then of course you can't forget about your pets. So all your pet foods, it never hurts to grab an extra bag just in case something does happen. You're prepared with your animals. And then if we do lose power, charcoal grills, you can always use them. So grab you some charcoal and a charcoal grill. You can grill steaks, burgers, whatever you may have in the freezer. And then with Texas being 110 degrees, you can never have too many fans.
Oh, yeah.
It never hurts to grab an extra box fan just to have it. So that way you are prepared and kind of keep the heat down in the house.
And for someone who has never bought a generator before, I mean, there are different options. So take us through what specific needs are there for each one.
Yeah, so this one is a tri-fuel, so it runs on propane, natural gas, or gasoline. So if you are wanting to run it on propane, you could take a 100-pound tank hook it up to it, and that will give you about 30 hours of runtime, so you're not going back and forth trying to get gas as often. Or if you have a local plumber, have them plumb it into your house. It runs on natural gas, and then you never have to worry about going to the store. And then my favorite is a generator inverter. So it's a 2500 to 3300 that will run some fridges, some fans, window units. Your fuel consumption is about a gallon to 8 hours, so you get a lot longer runtime on a lot less fuel, so you're not constantly having to go to the gas stations.
Gotcha. And stock-wise, you guys are fully stocked, correct?
We are fully stocked. We've added some extra inventory. If the storm does hit, we'll be rolling in trucks. It just doesn't hurt to go ahead and prepare now, because in the event it does happen, you could be in long lines, run out of inventory. We just don't know what will happen, but as of now, we're stocked, prepared. Just don't wait.
Yeah, so once again, don't wait. Do it now in the next couple days, because you never know what Hurricane Beryl is going to do. Reporting at the Ace Hardware in Cyprus, Shelby Rose, Fox 26 News.
Shelby, thanks. So as we told you earlier, Jamaica saw some pretty serious damage from Hurricane Beryl, but people living on the island said it could have actually been a lot worse. One Texas man has been keeping a close watch on his family in Jamaica. Sean Rabb from our sister station, Fox 4 in Dallas, shares this update.
Hey, Colleen and Roger, how are you guys doing?
We're doing well, in spite of everything, we're doing well.
We met Carlene Sutherland, whose brother Kipling Batchelor lives in Dallas, and family friend Roger Lynn Tuesday before Hurricane Beryl bruised Jamaica. Now that the storm has passed, we checked back in on them.
Whilst it was very strong, it brought a lot of rain, but the impact that we expected, it was not as strong as we anticipated.
But Beryl did bring significant damage and flooding to the island.
But what we're hearing and learning just by reports is that the southern belt, in particular the parishes of Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth in particular, got the brunt of the winds, and they have been affected severely.
Leaving much of Jamaica in the dark.
Our understanding is about 70% of the country is without power.
Is there still a curfew for now?
Yes, as far as you know, there's a curfew on. I think it's 6 p.m.
Yes,
to 6 a.m. in the morning.
The storm was a Category 4 with 140-mile-an-hour winds as it passed south of Jamaica's capital, Kingston.
Assessment is being done on the south side.
Yes.
And then we'll get a proper report from the state agencies as to how severe the damages are there.
The earliest Category 5 hurricane ever recorded in June and July, Beryl blamed for at least 5 deaths as it churned across Caribbean islands.
We're relieved that it wasn't as bad as a 5 when it hit Jamaica. So we're grateful, we haven't heard of any loss of lives.
So Kipling, I'm sure you're relieved to know your family's okay, huh?
I feel good. Good to know that they're safe and that they're all doing well in Jamaica, that my family is doing well.
While they are okay,
we're praying for our folks, our people who got affected the most.
And thank you so much for checking on us.
Yes, we appreciate that.
And as Beryl barrels toward the Gulf of Mexico, all eyes bracing to see if Texas could be in her sights. Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News.
I'm definitely glad that family was okay. So stay with us. We'll have a check of your hot weekend forecast, plus shark trouble on South Padre. Stick around.
Fox 26 is
Oh, it was a big night of fireworks in downtown Houston with thousands of people braving the heat and humidity to take part in Freedom Over Texas. Other than the fireworks show, there was some great music from Russell Dickerson and Jody Messina. It was hot as a firecracker, as you know. On Independence Day, highs did reach the upper 90s. Oof. I was trying to sleep, so I didn't go downtown. But anyway, another round of heat advisories are in place today. It's going to be a hot weekend, so let's go ahead and get into it. Temperatures are already rising out there pretty quickly. I mean, look, it's 11:16 here on this Friday morning, and we are already in the low 90s down on Galveston Island, 91 degrees with rain off the coastline. Currently, it's 89 at both airports here in Houston, along with LaPorte and Sugar Land. We've already hit 90 in Katy. And the heat index values, the so-called feels like or heat index values, are already near 100 degrees. Here's a closer view of some local temps, including 89 in Fresno, 87 in Sheldon right now, 88 for Dayton, and 87 in Tomball. Across the rest of the region, now notice this, there is something to keep an eye on, and that is in the upper left-hand part of your screen. Lubbock right now is 75 degrees compared to 89 here and 90s down in South Texas. There actually is a front that's on the way. That front should arrive tomorrow and is actually going to contribute to some pretty decent rain chances for us tomorrow. Check out highs today. Look at that heat out west. 117 in Phoenix, about 113 in Las Vegas today. We'll make it into the upper 90s and near 100 degrees in Washington, D.C. So here's a look at our forecast for today and tomorrow. Some scattered storms, maybe a couple isolated storms today, and it does look more likely that we're going to have some heavier downpours after about 1 or 2 tomorrow, and then of course keeping our eye on the impacts from Hurricane Beryl on the Texas coastline that we will talk more about coming up. Now, have you heard this? This is like the talk of the town. Over on South Padre Island, 4th of July celebrations were disrupted after 4 people were attacked by one single shark. The game warden says the attacks were in a span of about 2 hours on Thursday afternoon. 2 people were bitten, 1 man taken to the hospital for a severe bite. The other 2 were not seriously hurt, although, who wants to get even minor, damage from a shark bite? A Texas game warden captain says that based on witness reports and images on social media, they believe the shark was about 6 feet long and was responsible for those bites. No, thank you. All right, wildfires continue to rage in Northern California. 25,000 people have been forced out of their homes by the Thompson fire. The fire's grown to 3,500 acres since starting on Tuesday. Scorching temperatures are making it harder to contain. California Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency for this week. Now take a look at this. Europe's tallest active volcano, Mount Etna in Sicily, is creating quite a show. So satellite images from Maxar Technologies show bright lava flowing from one of its largest craters. The uptick in volcanic activity has prompted Italy's Civil Protection Agency to raise the alert level in the area from green to yellow. Warn people about Mount Etna. That one's an old one, goes back to antiquity, right? But that's pretty cool to see. All right, so stick around. We're going to have your full tropical forecast coming up next. The latest track of Beryl and some of the possible effects it's going to have on us right here in the Houston area.
Fox 26 is
So after tearing its way through the Caribbean Sea, Beryl made landfall as a Category 2 hurricane, 6:05 a.m. Central Time this morning near Tulum, Mexico. It has since definitely reacted to being over land. So I'll show you here in a moment the satellite imagery. It doesn't look nearly as well organized as it was when it was over water, but there are still growing concerns now for what's going to happen with the system once it reemerges out here over the Gulf of Mexico, which will happen late today, maybe as early as late this afternoon, where it will likely be a tropical storm. But the issue becomes the fact that it has about 48 hours, a pretty solid 2 days, to be over water there over the Gulf of Mexico, which will give it a chance to strengthen. And it also looks like it's going to take this little bit of an unusual south to north movement after it moves into the South Texas coastline, which would put the Houston area on that so-called dirty side or wet side of the circulation. So we can expect here for Houston, for Galveston, for Matagorda Bay, even all the way down to Corpus Christi in those spots, gusty winds, very large waves, especially on Sunday and early Monday, with very dangerous rip currents, which is a huge deal since we're going to have lots of people down there at the beaches, as we just told you. Over the weekend, especially Sunday, is when we have the higher risk for that. Coastal flooding, meaning that those tide levels are going to be running higher and could cause water to run over low-lying roadways and so forth. And, of course, heavy rain, possibly Monday through Wednesday, but it now looks like mostly on Monday. This is the latest run of the GFS computer model and its rainfall projections. Now, keep in mind, this is going to change, but it does give us an idea of some of the rainfall potential, with the purple indicating between about 6 and 12 inches of rain. So right now it's highlighting that around the Austin area and heading up to around Waco and Dallas, but it's not necessarily going to be those exact spots. This is the newest forecast from the Weather Prediction Center from NOAA, and it's showing this purple streak, which is in that 5 to 10 inch category, stretching from northern Mexico all the way across places like Brownsville and South Padre Island, Corpus Christi, back up to Victoria, and then over to around halfway between Houston and San Antonio. But keep in mind, a lot of this has to do with where a rain band sets up. Sometimes it only takes one strong rain band to cause flooding, and we don't know exactly where that's going to set up yet. In fact, there's an example of one at the end of this loop. In fact, there's another one that's forming. So we're going to see something similar to that as the system makes it over to our part of the Gulf of Mexico. Here's this beautiful, what's called a floater, visible satellite imagery, really high resolution, minute by minute imagery here, and you'll see there that center of circulation is over land right now, but a big flare up on the north side of it, a little bit of shear it looks like, just blowing some of those clouds off to the top. So here's our exclusive Fox model. This is a modification of the weather research and forecasting model. It has thus far done an amazing job. In fact, it was the only model that we have that saw the explosive development that Beryl was going to have before it moved into the Caribbean Sea. And this is what it's showing us right now. We'll fast forward here to just after midnight Saturday night and early Sunday, where it's showing a definite circulation, but fortunately not a monster storm. It is, though, showing it sort of pausing before it makes landfall and then taking a movement off toward the north. And this is probably the farthest north model that we have, but this one's actually showing it making landfall north of Corpus Christi, which would be a much bigger deal for the Houston-Galveston area with much heavier rain coming in. And here's one of those rain bands that I'm talking about. So in this scenario, it would bring the Houston area really heavy rain. If you live like up around Dallas, this scenario would bring you probably less rain. San Antonio, less rain. Same for Austin. But of course, we don't know that this is 100% what's going to happen. It's you know, obviously one model, but like I said, it has been doing a good job. Here's the GFS computer model forecast of future wave heights. And notice as we head into the early morning hours on Monday, so late Sunday, early Monday, we're talking about 10-foot waves just off the coastline, and so that'll contribute to very rough surf, dangerous surf along the coastline. In the meantime, we're looking for some very hot conditions across the area, and that is also going to lead to the formation of some thunderstorms coming in before the storm itself. So here's our futurecast from the European computer model, which is kind of falling in line with the GFS. We'll pause it here at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, and there it is, approaching the coastline of Mexico and Texas. The Euro model is a little bit farther to the south of some of the other models, so it's moving in here just off to the north of South Padre Island, making its way inland. We'll pause it here at 10 p.m. on Monday, and it also, by the way, is a little slower than some of our other models. In other words, it's you know, kind of hanging the storm up out there through Monday and Tuesday. Now notice the GFS model, which is the American model of course, is moving it toward our area and makes it on land here farther to the north, closer to Corpus Christi here at 6 a.m. on Monday. And notice how quickly this moves upward by Austin at 5:30 on Monday, and then moving out of the area by Tuesday. So a lot of variables here that we will of course keep you apprised of here on Fox 26 and on our YouTube page, as well as here on all of our digital media on Fox Local, which you can download for your smart TV.